how I believe that our current cultural attitudes towards sleep, and our cultural attitudes toward a lot of issues can be driven in ways that we don't notice or understand by people who are in power, where we've got a status quo that works for the people in power, and so they want to keep that going. And one example of that is the CEO of Netflix basically saying war on sleep, because the fact is, in a modern capitalist society, if you are sleeping, you're neither producing nor consuming. So what good are you? Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This is Charles. Today, Dan and I are taking a closer look at the Diary of a CEO and Stephen Bartlett's conversation with sleep scientist Matthew Walker. We'll talk about what really happens when we don't get enough sleep, why modern culture still glorifies burnout, and how small, realistic changes in your nightly routine can make a big difference in how you feel and function. You can find all of our audio and video episodes along with anything new we're creating and sharing at mindfullymasculine.com. Thanks and enjoy.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Pretty good, but I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Now it is. Okay. I'm doing well. How'd you sleep?
I slept probably on a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably a 7 last night, so better than at my average for sure.
Yeah, it's probably around 6 or 7. I woke up a bit in the middle of the night and didn't get back to sleep right away, but that's not all that uncommon for me.
I mean, when else are you gonna do your hunting? I mean, honestly,
That's true. Yeah.
Victims can see during the day. So
Am I gathering?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to our topic of this episode. You and I, we're staying on track with talking about some really great discussions from the Diary of a CEO show on YouTube. And this one was with Dr. Matthew Walker, who is a neuroscientist, and he wrote a book called Why We Sleep. And they went through and talked about pretty much everything you can imagine when it comes to sleeping and doing it the right way, doing it the wrong way. And a lot of the mistakes that all of us seem to be making, or at least most of us. He suggests, Dr. Walker, that we're in a global sleep loss epidemic driven by modern technology and modern economic systems. And it's very hard to disagree with him on that, because we have seen for a good long while, there have been cultural drivers that say the earlier you wake up and the less you sleep, the better person you are. And I've been guilty of some of that as well, because I am naturally a morning person. So for people who have to sleep later and stay up later, in the past, I have done a little bit of condescending and looking down my nose at those folks. And previous to this episode, I knew that was not scientifically legitimate or necessarily very ethical of me. But so it's one of the things I'm trying to leave behind.
Do you think that comes from some sort of notion that people who are sleeping in while you're active are lazy?
Yes, I think.
Right?
I
I mean, just looking at them not doing anything, and you're up and about
exactly
getting the day started, and it's just like, how dare you, right? Almost, right? Like,
yeah, and the other,
while I'm doing all this work, you're just lying there.
yeah, but it doesn't. You don't do the math in the opposite way.
No,
where when
you don't.
when I go to sleep at
'Cause you're sleeping, you're not seeing,
And-
you're not witnessing them
Exactly.
doing all the other stuff and it's like also like, how productive is somebody really? What kinds of things are being done? Or what do we think they were doing? Because I think we're also associating that with partying and staying up late for reasons that are not really productive for the most part. I feel.
Well, yeah, because
Right.
I mean, it doesn't. You date a bartender and you realize that that's not the case.
Mhm.
She was often up late working harder at night than I was working during the day at all. I'm sitting at a keyboard all day, and she's actually doing manual labor. And then it's like, oh, that's it's not
Right.
just because she happens to be doing it in a place with live music doesn't mean that it's not work.
Right.
You know?
That's the thing, is just you don't, unless you really spend the time to think that through and really put yourself in other person's shoes. It's very easy to come up with those ideas that, hey, yeah, you're lazy if you're sleeping in and staying up late.
And I think culturally, it's also a lot, from the 9-to-5 job, whether it's in an office or an assembly line, manufacturing, whatever it is. It's just this idea, or even schooling. You wake up early, you get dressed, you have your breakfast, you go to school or work, and then at the end of the day, that's when you have fun, relax, and go to sleep. So whether somebody's actual work or school schedule reflects that they're having fun in the evenings and relaxing, we kind of think, oh, that's what people do at night, is they have fun and they relax, even if they have a job.
I'm wondering if that comes from the culture of being human as we evolved in terms of the labor that we were doing over the years, right? So we started out really as like hunter gatherers and then became farmers. And when were both of those activities done primarily was in the mornings. You start early in the as soon as sunlight comes
Right.
up,
The sun.
you're out there, you're working, right? And so maybe part of the reason why we've got that in our brains culturally and that opinion sometimes is maybe it comes from that's what work is. That's our opinion of what hard work is, productive work, valuable work, because we're bringing in food and potentially money into the family.
Yeah, I think
with those activities.
I think we have to point to the agricultural revolution for that, because during the hunter-gatherer phase, no, it was very likely that there were, he said that you've got these early risers, these late risers, and these people that are kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was the shift, that it was broken out into that shift for monitoring for danger and stuff like that. So I think for the hunter-gatherer, the people that woke up late and stayed up late and kept watch, as the fire was burning out, it was their job to keep you safe while you were sleeping.
But which job do you think people valued more?
I think back then it was probably equal.
I disagree, because
I would think during the
people want to
hunting-
eat. And so if the hunters came back with a big feast, it's like, oh, we haven't eaten in days and we finally got something, like celebration, we're eating, everything else. And you're just kind of sitting there, and yeah, maybe it was,
you might be right.
maybe you have a good story, like you defended the tribe. Like, how often does that maybe happen? Like, probably not that often, not as often as you're bringing in food.
That's
so
true, yeah.
I'm thinking,
Yeah, maybe even back.
I'm thinking it's probably more celebrated when you're bringing in
Yeah.
sustenance for the community.
Yeah, so
Right?
I might be right. The early risers may have had a little bit of a higher status even back then. But, what we know now from science is that there is no better or worse. There's just different. And
it's beneficial that we're different.
yeah,
That was interesting.
Yeah, and he makes a good case that if sleep was something that was optional, evolution would have selected it out of us a long time ago. So the fact that it's so expensive from a survival and an evolution standpoint, yet we still require it, means it must be super duper important. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be sleeping 8 hours a night or whatever.
Exactly. He made the point is when we're sleeping, we're absolutely vulnerable to
whatever
attacks or if you remember, he talked about how some animals can have half of their brain sleep.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I had never heard that before. I didn't know that. And the other half of the brain is awake. One of them was birds. And it was so fascinating to me. The analogy, or what he talked about, was birds will sleep with one eye open and the other eye shut. And it will be determined based on where they land on a branch. Like a flock of birds lands.
Power line, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Lands on this. And, the birds that are closest to the end have their eyes open, on one side.
And their eyes are on the side of their head, so they get the full 180 view.
And he's sleeping on the other.
I know.
And then he's like, oh, yeah,
you would switch. They let you switch with people on the inside, or birds on the inside. The outside ones would just switch places.
Well, what we said was,
they would turn around.
They would just turn around in place, which is much more efficient.
That's
right?
True,
They're
yeah.
trying to get organized, and I was over here, buddy.
The other ones
right,
too.
Right. Yeah. And then they turn around, and then they rest the other part of the brain.
It's crazy.
But because of that, a flock survives because they can be, aware of danger or, shifting winds or something knocking people off.
Why would evolution go to the complexity of figuring all this out if it wasn't absolutely essential for survival?
And what's crazy is, some birds operate in that fashion, and then the birds in the middle, both of them, I think they both
have sleep.
Both brain have sleep. Yeah. And so, I remember so he talked about, I guess over time, sometimes our brain can shift based on our sleep needs. So like, teenagers, a lot of times our school systems are back asswards because we're getting the teenagers up
too early,
much earlier than than what their brain is wanting to do.
Right.
And I just remember sitting in class. I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, I was falling asleep in class. I mean, I wasn't sleeping great as it was, but I was just I was falling asleep in class all the time. I was always tired.
For me, it was always after lunch. I never had a problem in the morning. I would
Okay.
I would wake up and be
Yeah, I guess
'cause
me too.
I
Yeah.
took we'll talk about the sleep quiz that you and I both took on another sleep doctor's website. But yeah, if I've got something important to do, then I'm doing it in the first few hours after I wake up. That's really when I'm at my sharpest. And that was
Yeah.
pretty much the case when I was in school too.
Yeah.
But man, after lunch, it was real hard, especially depending on the temperature and the level of stimulation. Like if it was a chemistry lab class, no problem. I could stay awake. No issue. But if it was just, a lecture class with somebody who was fairly dry and it was after lunch and it was, you know, getting a little too cool in the room.
Funk.
Yeah. And it wasn't just me. There was a lot of us that had
Yeah.
that problem in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I have notebooks where you can see my hand,
Oh, really?
taking notes, and it like trails off, like somebody, like literally, like somebody gave me a drug, and it was just, it's. I review and I'd be like, what did I just write here? Like, it's just hysterical.
So we talked about this a little bit the other day when we were preparing for this episode, and how I believe that our current cultural attitudes towards sleep, and our cultural attitudes toward a lot of issues can be driven in ways that we don't notice or understand by people who are in power, where we've got a status quo that works for the people in power, and so they want to keep that going. And one example of that is the CEO of Netflix basically saying war on sleep, because the fact is, in a modern capitalist society, if you are sleeping, you're neither producing nor consuming. So what good are you? Fewer hours too, because
Yeah.
the whole grind culture of people bragging about, oh, I only need 4 hours, I only need 5 hours, I only need 6 hours. It's like, well, we all kind of need 8, and as productive as you are on 6, you'd be even more productive if you were on 8.
See, and that's where I feel maybe it wasn't quite intentional. I agree with you on the early risers.
Yeah, I don't think there was a master plan. I think it's more of a, hey, we've kind of noticed that this is working for us, so
Yeah.
let's find ways to reward behaviors that are working for us.
Yeah, I think people just didn't realize, even the ones with a lot of power and access to information that we don't have. I think just logically, it was just an easier, hey, you're awake, you're able to do things. And then that was kind of,
Right.
and that was it. They left it at that. They didn't look into the data, probably because it was difficult to get that data about how productive somebody was
Right.
based on the amount of sleep they had. Now with the trackers and everything,
Yeah.
there's a lot more data out there about how we operate. And so, he was saying that sleep deprivation costs nations about 2% of GDP, which it comes out to like 411 billion in the UK or in the US, which to me,
So worldwide, that's got to be
Yeah.
trillions of dollars.
and here's the thing too, is the companies on the leading edge of everything, almost like Google, they've got sleep rooms for their employees now and sleep
Right.
pods. So they recognize, yeah, go ahead, take a nap and you'll be more productive. So they understand the bottom line really is benefiting for people who actually get enough sleep.
Yeah, it's interesting how the companies on the edge of technology are figuring that out and implementing it, where some of the older fashioned, certainly I don't see any small businesses putting in napping rooms anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because I think it's still like, no, you get your sleep at home, and that's
And I can see why, because if you don't have a huge staff of people
Yeah.
to help manage
Oh yeah, those rooms need to be cleaned and they need to be managed.
I was thinking about
And
the
shifts.
the shifts.
When somebody leaves for a nap,
Like, how do you get that covered, right? How do you
Yeah.
plan for things to still be running the right way when somebody's
it
just
would
like, "Oh,
definitely it would take work.
I randomly like need a nap in the middle of," right? Unless you had like pre-programmed times. Yeah, that's definitely more work on management, the owners, everything else. So I can see us human beings, I don't want to take on more work so this person can take a nap. Like, think about even just saying it out loud makes me feel like,
Yeah, I think
holy cow,
would have
that's a hard ask, right?
it would have to be a top-down thing where the guy or the gal at the top believed that it was necessary, and they were taking the naps, and they were like, "Listen, you don't have to go to sleep if you don't want to, but In our 8-hour shifts,
Yeah.
everybody gets a 20-minute nap, and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
But one of the other things we were talking about was the example of, where the cultural pressure to perform kind of can fly in the face of what's actually good for people, was perfect attendance awards for school.
Yeah, you were saying that the other day,
Like
right?
the idea of, oh, I go to school every day whether I'm sick or not. It's like, it's not good for you recovering from your cold, your flu, your COVID, your illness, whatever it happens to be. It's not good for you to show up, and it's not good for the rest of us for you to come to work either.
Yeah.
But we're still going to give you this little gold star at the end of the year that says you didn't miss a single day. I don't know if they do that anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if that's gone the way of the dodo, but
Yeah.
it certainly should. I mean, that's ridiculous that we reward people for showing up every day,
Yeah.
whether that's a good idea for the individual or the group or not. I mean,
So
That's crazy.
here's right. So
but
I mean,
that's what we want out of
yeah.
somebody working on an assembly line. We want them to show up every day. We think, unless we think about it a little bit deeper, and then we're like, no, that's
Yeah.
not good either.
So what I don't understand is adults get sick days at like every job. Almost every job, it gives you sick days.
Yeah, paid time off.
Was it just? I think we like it was kind of an unspoken thing at school when I was in high school. Is you could get a number of like it's not like you were handed sick days like you are at a
Right.
job. It was one of those. There were consequences after you took too many sick days, and like that number sometimes wasn't really known or whatever. But why not allow students and accommodate the curriculum to have sick days too, right?
Yeah, and I would say even to the point where, I mean, in a good job where you're working on a healthy, productive team, if you get sick, somebody else is going to jump in and do your job for you. Now, obviously, the goal with school should be we're trying to get an education, we're trying to learn things, but I would say, yeah, there should be some incentive to
But
say, okay, if you're going to miss school, here's the work you should do to catch up, but we're not going to require you to turn in homework for the days that you were sick.
yeah. Or you can do the work at a different schedule, whatever. I mean, these days with technology and everything, like,
Right.
having that flexibility, you could do some virtual stuff, whatever. There's no excuse to, make sure somebody's sitting in that seat 300, whatever days, how many days, 180 days a year, whatever it is, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, I do. But again, you and I have talked about, the whole public school system in this country was built on preparing people to work manufacturing jobs and
Be slaves, basically. Yeah.
show up when the whistle blows and
Yeah.
work hard until the second whistle blows, and then you go home, and then
Yeah.
and in some cases it was, in some industries it was you lived on company land, you bought your groceries from the company store. I mean, there was some crazy practices back in the day after the Industrial Revolution where, the business magnates pretty much ran your life.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is some of those high technology companies like, Google and things like that, it's interesting because they also will have different incentive plans where they'll get your laundry done for you. So they really want you there. They'll arrange for babysitting, whatever it is, whatever your needs are to keep you in that office as much as possible. Now, that's something I heard about, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's still the culture.
I had heard that some of them even had, RV campground.
Yeah.
Campus,
Oh, yeah.
where you could live on campus in your RV and save a bunch of money. But the trade-off was you're right there if they need you.
Yes.
And I would take that deal.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, and that might be good for a phase of your life.
Right.
That might be perfect for you because, like, I mean, the housing in that area in Silicon Valley is ridiculous.
Right.
So
Yeah.
to basically live, fairly rent free and I mean, that's it's a willing trade off. A lot of people will take. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, back
Yeah.
to back to the
Oh yeah, sleep. Yeah.
the sleep that we were talking about. I did like that he, in sort of emphasizing the importance of sleep, he basically said, you can take a day off of eating, you can take a day off of exercising, and the impact to both of those will not be comparable to taking a day off of sleep.
I think he even said drinking water.
Yeah, he did.
The only
Hydration.
thing was oxygen.
Yeah.
Breathing.
Basically, it's oxygen, then sleep, then everything else.
That's insane.
But I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean,
It does.
I have had some days, in the last 5 or 10 years where I had to stay up all night solving a critical tech problem for one of my clients. And the next day I feel like garbage. I mean, I think I'm healthy enough where I could still do it, where if I have to work through a night, I can work through a night and be functional the next day, but not at my best, and certainly not 2 days.
Yep.
Trying to do it 2 days in a row, absolutely not. Where when I was, when I was in college and I was a camp counselor during the summer, I had a couple of times where I stayed up all night 2 nights in a row and just didn't sleep at all. And I was loopy,
Yeah.
I didn't need to be very high performing. But God, thinking about doing that now gives me the shivers. Um, let's see, one thing, or he did get into sleep supports immunity, metabolism, emotional regulation, which is a big one, cardiovascular health, and hormone balance. And when you don't have, we'll get into what the negative side effects of chronic bad sleep, but um, the emotional regulation was one that really stood out to me because there are a lot of people that have poor sleep, and to say that they're grumpy or they woke up on the wrong side of the bed is an understatement. Like the
Yeah.
people that chronically abuse their sleep schedules are not nice people to be around. I've seen it, and they'll still brag about how little sleep they need, but then the rest of the people in their lives have to deal with
Yeah.
the outcome of that and the consequences of that.
Yeah. That's it's if you think about it, it really makes sense because sleep is doing a lot of cleansing and a lot of regeneration for everything in your brain, and your brain is controlling everything in your body, right? So your hormones, they talk about appetite. Um, what's crazy is the weight loss. He said 60% of your weight loss will come from muscle if you're not sleeping well.
Yes, and I am in the middle of trying to trim down right now, and I mean, really, I'm not doing what I ought to be doing diet-wise to maximize my muscle, but I am doing what I need to do injection-wise to maximize the sustainability of my lean body, which is, I'm on my doctor's prescribed dose of testosterone, and I'm getting pretty good sleep. And so, whether my scale is super accurate about lean body mass or not, at least I'm consistently using the same scale at the same time every day. And from
Yeah.
what it's telling me is I am I'm cutting fat and I'm not cutting anything else.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can maintain that. And I'm gonna do a little bit better on the diet side. But on the sleep side, I feel like, most nights for me are a 7 or 8 out of 10. Last night was a little below average, but or a little below my average. But for the most part, I get to bed pretty early and wake up fairly early as well. And it seems to work for me. And I don't usually during the normal course of a day feel like I need to take a nap or feel like I am shortchanging myself on sleep. I usually have a fair amount of energy all day long, and then when it's time to go to bed, I go to bed and I fall asleep fairly quickly.
Mhm.
Um, and as a result, hopefully, as I keep, I've got another 10 or 12 pounds to drop. Hopefully, it will continue to be body fat and not lean muscle mass.
Yeah.
Um, he mentions that couples will often clash over their mismatched sleep rhythms, and I've had that in relationships where, for the most part, um, I seem to be. I find myself in relationships with a lot of people who, not always, but typically go to bed later and wake up later than me. And he suggests a
Getting
sleep divorce.
getting divorced.
Sleep divorce, yeah, where you have separate sleeping arrangements, which I think you mentioned something about the Scandinavian method or something, where it's 2 beds in the same room. But he also noted that's not as effective at dealing with if one partner gets up and leaves the room and comes back to the room in the middle of the night, that's still going to be disruptive. Or if one partner snores, that's
Yeah.
still, being in the same room is going to
Yeah.
be not as good an option as having 2 completely separate bedrooms.
Yeah, they said the data shows that people, when they sleep by themselves, get better sleep, more rested sleep, and
But they don't report better sleep. I thought that was interesting.
that's right. They said the level of satisfaction of sleep is
Yeah.
higher when you're sleeping with a partner.
And I feel like that's definitely the case. I would rather, especially, if I'm with somebody, I would rather sleep in a bed with them
Mhm.
than sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
But, that said, if I ever find myself cohabitating with someone again, I could see a scenario where, for me, what I find is for me to sleep comfortably, all I need is a full-size bed. I don't need a king-size bed if I'm sleeping alone to be comfortable.
Okay.
So like if I'm traveling
Yeah.
and the hotel's like, oh, we don't have a king room for you, we have 2 doubles. Pfft, no problem. I don't care. I can sleep perfectly fine by myself in a double bed.
Yeah.
So that said, if I ever found myself cohabitating in a house with someone, I could see maybe in my office having a full-size bed in there so that if either one of us were not sleeping well, it's very easy to just get up and then
Yeah.
or if over time I realize that I'm not sleeping as well with my partner as I would if I was alone, having that flexibility in a house, I could see some value in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've needed to minimize the amount of when I've been with somebody, the because I'm a very late sleeper, so I've gotten like a split top king bed. So basically, what that is,
Ugh.
it's halfway
Yeah, it's
split,
2 twins.
but you
I
don't.
hate the gap.
But the gap is annoying. But you can shove some pillows in the middle of there, so you're not like falling in the gap in the
Yeah.
middle of whatever. But yeah. But the thing is, though, if somebody's getting up or down, somebody's got restless leg syndrome, you're not feeling that on the other side of the bed, and you still have that that one bed. The other piece is having completely separate blankets and not so you're not like
Oh, I hate
or
that.
or they need to be really huge so that you don't feel someone when they like turn over and then they yank the blanket off of you. And it's just a lot of times we don't even notice when that happens because we're mostly asleep, but those little disturbances will wake us up and take us out of the proper state of our brain, that the brainwave state. So um yeah.
I've had the separate blanket thing proposed by partners before, and I'm like, absolutely not. That is counter to my goals. I want to be under the same blanket as you. And
Does that interfere with your Dutch oven activity? Is that the
dare
problem?
you, I would never. No, that is not the problem. It's just
Oh,
I want to be able to, when I'm cold, I want to be able to roll over and spoon my partner. And when
okay.
I'm warm, I want to be able to roll over to the other side, and I don't want extra
Interference.
cloth and interference in the way. Yeah, that I have pushed back
Now,
against that.
have you ever been with somebody who needs or would like the ambient room temperature
Yeah,
to
every
be
fucking time. Yes. No.
different than
Yes.
what you would like?
Yes. Ugh.
And I'm guessing it's warmer and not
Yes,
colder?
it's warmer.
Mhm.
You've had that problem too?
Oh, I've never not had that problem.
Yeah, same. I've never been with anybody who liked it as cold as I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's tough, man, because
Now,
mm,
the one workaround that I found for this is expensive, but if you get one of the cooling devices that also offer heating, so Uller is one of them. I think 8 Sleep offers one that's like ridiculously expensive, but it's basically a mat that's filled with water and it can raise the temperature up
sounds nice.
and also adjust over on a schedule throughout the course of the night. And so I've bought 2 of them, so we have independent ones. So hers is a lot warmer, keeps her nice and warm while the ambient temperature drops and helps me sleep, and mine is cold. And that is how I've gotten through that, but that adds significant cost to any sleeping environment.
See, and I have
But considering how important sleep is, I think it's more than worth the
I
investment.
get it. My issue is anything. I'm not really comfortable adding anything to the bed. So I like the mattress,
Yeah,
the fitted sheet.
yeah.
If I add, any kind of a mattress topper or a mattress cooler, or I mean, I am bare bones. I am mattress, fitted sheet, comforter, no top sheet, just a
Yeah.
soft duvet cover that feels nice,
Mhm.
and nothing else.
Okay.
And I mean, listen, my room, like just last night, I turned it down to 66 based on what usually I keep it around probably 60, 69 is usually where I keep it. But last night I went down to 66, and the room around me is not comfortable. It's too cold. But
Underneath.
the bed
Yes.
with the comforter on me is perfect. And I like it to the point where I don't want to get out from under the covers. That is what's comfortable for me, where the air is cold enough that I don't want to get out from under the blanket.
Yeah.
But I've never dated anybody that likes it that cold. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird though, because I mean, the average woman has a higher body fat percentage than the average man, so it can't be related to that.
I think actually one of the biggest drivers in terms of how warm we are is how much we eat. And if my experience is the ladies that I've been dating typically eat a lot less than I do, but also less than what their body needs. And so their body doesn't, your cells don't have that extra energy to give off as heat. And a lot of them either that or they've got some thyroid issues. Between those two things, that will absolutely affect your body temperature. So what feels, something that feels cold to us could be feeling extremely cold, much more cold to somebody else who doesn't have that extra body heat to give off.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit because I've known many of your former relationships.
Yeah.
You think they were perpetually in calorie deficits?
Yeah, actually, or nutrient deficits.
Well, maybe nutrient deficit.
Yeah, I
But
think so, and also some thyroid issues as well.
okay, I could
Yeah.
see that, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. Because it would be and it wasn't just when we're sleeping, it was just, like, sitting around, always colder than I was, um,
I don't know. I'm in a significant deficit
driving
right
dri
now, and I
driving in a
still
car
want to be cold.
driving in a car, like, I want the air conditioning, like, blowing right on me, they turn it completely off.
Oh, see, even
So
in my car,
yeah.
the air conditioner is never off. It's
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh,
it's
good.
always on the lowest temperature setting
Yeah.
and then the lowest fan setting.
Yeah.
Like even when I get cold, I never turn it off because the air gets stale. And,
Yep.
So what I'm doing right now is
Yeah.
I have the air on the lowest setting for both the temperature and the fan, and I have the heated seats on the lowest setting as well. So I get a little bit of
Mhm.
warmth from the seats. But yeah, I am always running hot. I don't know what,
Yeah. I mean,
but the science says that that is where I should be for the best quality sleep.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the thing too, is I'm wondering, see, there's a range there, and I guess they don't really ever talk about um, what we're coming into the room with. Like, what is our body, like, what does our interpretation of that temperature feel like on somebody, right? So I think that's part of it too. I guess if you're feeling too cold, I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know.
I'm sure too cold
You know?
is a thing, but
And maybe that's what it is.
but
Maybe that's why I'm
feeling
running
too
into
cold
problems.
or being used to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it my body's too cold, or is I'm just not used
I
to
mean,
it?
so here's the thing is, but my partners would always sleep at no problem at a much warmer temperature, and they get great sleep. And yeah, am I a little jealous? Absolutely. But they were just sleeping well at a temperature where there's no way I could sleep.
Yeah, I dated one girl where she slept with her windows open no matter what the temperature was outside.
In Florida?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
dude.
Yeah, AC off, windows open, no matter what the temperature was outside.
Was she from the equator?
Yes.
Okay.
She was from Guatemala.
Okay. There you go. All right. All right, let's move on.
So yeah, that worked for her, but it did not work for me.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. You took your quiz on
I did.
what was that? Sleepdoctor.com/sleep-quiz. And I was a lion, which means I am naturally alert early, most productive before noon, and ready to wind down by 9 or 10. And that's
Mhm.
me to a T.
Yeah.
It also said, it suggested that early morning workouts are good. Yes, if it's steady state cardio, like going for a walk. I love an early morning walk.
Yeah.
Lifting heavy early in the morning, not so much.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like a 6:30 a.m. walk is my ideal. That is perfect
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
I feel great on an early morning walk with, right now I'm listening to Strong Ground by Brene Brown, which is amazing. I'm going to do another mini book report on that once I finish it. And, it's great. There are a few things I enjoy more than a nice long walk. And I mean, long is relative. For me, I did 5.5 miles yesterday and it was great. I love, having that first cup of coffee. Well, first cup of coffee and first dump in the morning. and then going for the walk
Yeah.
is optimal for me.
Yep.
Because, where I walk around, there are not a lot of public restrooms readily available. I made that mistake when I first moved back to Winter Garden. I went for the walk with the cup of coffee in hand, and I found myself like, okay, this could be a problem. It wasn't. I was able to take care of business and get where I needed to go, but it can
When
that
I was
oof.
when I was doing 75 hard last year and I was doing those 45-minute walks,
Yeah.
I had a couple of accidents that, let's just put it that way, where I didn't make it back on time, you know? So I feel you.
Yeah.
Literally I feel that for sure.
Yeah, that's why when my best day is, my best, like everybody, or like everybody who's come to this conclusion, your best day starts with your best night the night before, getting everything ready.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that includes having my workout clothes ready and also having my delightful Bun Heat and Brew coffee maker programmed and ready so that I wake up to a pot of freshly brewed coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I start sipping and, doing some of the just bare minimum, not any heavy work before my first walk, but just sort of, opening up my computer and seeing, what the day looks like.
Yeah.
Sipping on the coffee, going to the restroom, and then hitting the road and doing, at least 3 miles. Ideally, if I can get 6 in, that's
great.
perfect. But yeah, so the lion likes that. You are a dolphin.
Right. And
Tell me a little bit about that.
So he said that's only 10% of the population because
Oh, these are chronotypes, by the way. This is basically you take this little quiz and it says based on your attitudes towards sleep and what you notice about your sleep, here's what you are and here's how you should optimize.
Yeah, and he said, it's
10%. I think I'm 15.
Okay, so it was the lowest amount of people are the dolphin chronotype, and it's because we're all over the place a little bit.
Yeah, the other ones I think were bear and wolf. Were those?
Yep.
And there's only 4, right?
Right.
With this guy's test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not early morning exercise, but it's like mid-morning exercise or mid-morning tasks. I'm great like from like 9 to 1 or 2, something like that. Before and afterwards, groggy or
Okay.
tired type of
Yeah.
thing. So it was it was accurate for the questions that he asked me. Yeah, so that I don't really have anything other than he really just said that, the chronotypes can change over time and depending on our age as well. So I other than that, like dolphins are just kind of like inconsistent with they're like light sleepers.
Yeah.
They can wake up easily. And I think that was also one of the things he was mentioning with the half of a brain sleeping at once.
Yeah, dolphins are one of the animals
Because they have to get up,
mammals. Yeah.
right? Because they have to get to the surface. They can't just sleep underwater the whole time,
Right.
because they have to get some oxygen at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, what a pain in the ass that's got to be. But apparently, I guess if your brain can do that, that's an amazing thing. I got to figure out how to hack that. Is there a biohack to have half of our brain sleep and the other one awake, and then switch it off and rotate?
Not that he said in this podcast. And
I took Dr. Mike about that, and I'm sure there's some sort of drug they're working on for that.
yeah. I mean,
That would be
focus
amazing
on the
for me.
statin inhibitors first. That's obviously the most important thing that will ever come up
Clearly.
with the species.
But then we're bored after that. After that's been solved,
Right, but
and
then
all diseases
then
have been cured.
then the half brain stuff can be the next thing. He does talk about he goes through a list of what society could do differently to make things better. He mentions that governments have lots of campaigns and public service announcements about a lot of things, but not getting good sleep. Businesses could replace the idea that sleep is weakness with sleep is good. And it was interesting. He did mention that if employees take a survey on the presentation skills of the leaders, if the leader has been sleep deprived, even if the employees have no idea what the sleep schedule of the CEO or the leader is, they will rate them as less charismatic if they've delivered a presentation on less hours of sleep versus more hours of sleep.
It makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I'm absolutely more creative when I've got, and taking on, they talk about your biggest task as the frog, right? For, swallow that frog. There's a book. I know, and you're also willing to take risks and take on challenges. I think they were talking about that employees were a lot less likely to take on a challenging task
Yeah.
if they're sleep deprived. And it makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting because the part of the of Brene Brown's book that I was just listening to this morning was really it was about creating an environment where people feel safe taking risks and rewarding people for taking smart, calculated risks versus rewarding them for the outcome. So you want to be in a company or an organization where you are encouraged and rewarded based on taking a good risk, not necessarily how well or poorly that risk works out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, learning what is a good risk versus a bad risk and being encouraged to take good risks is more important for the long-term health of your organization than just rewarding good outcomes and punishing bad outcomes. And yeah, having a workforce that is taking their sleep needs seriously will add to that.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about napping. So I've heard different things, as Steve Bartlett, the host, had heard, where basically if you can't sleep for a certain amount of time during a nap, you're better off not taking the nap in the first place. Where it doesn't actually work that way. The way it seems to work is short naps are good, long naps are good, medium term naps not so good. And I'm going to definitely remember that when I'm in a situation where I need a nap.
So do you remember what they defined as medium term?
Yes. So I believe he said that a nap as short as 9 minutes can have a positive benefit to your mood and your reaction time.
Mm-hmm.
If you go longer than 30 minutes, though, there's a good chance that you're going to get into some of the kinds of sleep that are harder to wake up from. And so there could still be some benefit, but immediately after you wake up, it's going to be a little bit harder to get back into the swing of things.
Okay.
Where the impression I got was 20 to 30 minutes. If we're talking about a work day nap, like during your work hours, 20 to 30 minutes is about as good as it's going to get for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it's a little different, like I would say, for example, you work all day and then like on a Friday, you work all day on Friday and then you know you're going to go out with your friends and you're going to stay out late and you want to have a little bit of juice to do that. Then you could go up to 60 minutes or even maybe a little bit longer to recharge some of those batteries so that when you go out, you'll be able to stay awake later. But keep in mind, it could also negatively, when you do finally get home, you might have a little bit more trouble getting to sleep.
I think was he saying that's because we're getting into the different sleep cycles or sleep stages when we're doing those longer naps?
Yeah, I think REM and deep sleep are both a little harder to get out of quickly.
Yeah.
Where light sleep is easier to get out of quickly, but it's less recharging than the other two as well.
Another point that he made, which is interesting, is a lot of people think REM sleep is the good stuff. And he said, no. Light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, they're all good stuff.
Right.
And it's not one is better than the other. It's
correct.
Kind of what you need, right? But REM, I think, does a lot of the repair that I think they were talking about, right? Was that right?
It's because REM is when the dreaming happens.
Yeah.
And then the dreaming happens is when he mentioned specifically for any negative experiences that you have.
The emotional regulation.
Right. Part of REM's job is to allow you to hold on to the memory of those negative experiences without holding on to the negative emotions that you experienced while you were going through it.
Interesting. And that's probably why a lot of us look back on old relationships and things and
with the fading effect bias.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, it wasn't so bad.
Yes.
Meanwhile,
it's part of REM's job to let you look back on previous things as less traumatic than they felt in the moment.
That's why it's a good idea to write yourself a note right in the moment when you're going through something traumatic. So you don't think,
yes, a journaling practice.
Yeah.
For so many reasons is a good idea.
Yeah.
And I've just gotten back into my 5-year journal, man. I see there are some gaps where I wrote for it the first time in 21.
Yeah.
And now like today, like I had my first entry was in 2021. And then my second entry for October 17th was 2025.
Ooh.
I completely skipped 22, 23, and 24.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's been a while since I have one as well. I haven't been in there, but what's interesting is I just had a thought a lot of times when I journal a little bit right before bed or just plan my day, just like kind of look through all my appointments for the next day, if I do that the night before, I usually sleep better. And I'm wondering if
Mm,
that's because I'm not getting enough REM sleep, probably. And I'm wondering if I need less REM sleep because I'm not having
yeah, that's
emotions
interesting.
or things running through the back of my mind, like, I don't know, a little bit of, like, low-level anxiety of, I don't know what's coming up the next day because I didn't look at it the night before. Now, I don't have that if I've done that, and maybe that's why I end up sleeping a little bit better, or I feel like I've been sleeping a little bit better the next day.
Yeah, I wonder if from a strict definition, I wonder if someone who is a light sleeper is spending more of their time in the light sleep cycle, if that's exactly what it means, or if it means other things. I don't know.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it just your body is more open to the stimulation around you in your sleep environment when you're a light sleeper, or is it that you literally spend more percentage of your time
Mm.
in light sleep than
Yeah.
deep sleep,
You're
rest
right.
sleep than somebody else?
Yeah.
So that might be something for us to look up. Let's talk about caffeine briefly, and this is another. This is where I am guilty of some magical thinking, which is, I'm happy to say, anybody who is like, oh, I can get by on 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep, they're a douchebag. They don't know what they're talking about. Um, where I make the mistake by saying, oh, caffeine, coffee and caffeine late in the day, it doesn't affect my sleep at all. Well, the evidence is it does affect it. Now, I don't experience some of the same. I've got friends, maybe you
Look at you.
or well, humble brag, right? I've got friends that would say, "Oh, if I have a cup of coffee after 4 o'clock in the afternoon or an espresso or something, I won't be able to get to sleep." Where I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
I can have a cup of espresso with dessert after dinner at 9:30, and then get home by 10 and pretty much fall asleep right away. But what the science says is the quality of your sleep is not going to be as good as if you didn't have the caffeine.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the same case with alcohol. Like, you might be able to get to sleep a little bit better. You feel like
You
you're
fall asleep faster with
right.
yes,
The
but
quality
and
is
and
not
he
there.
makes a good and let's talk about alcohol and sleep medications. The big thing that hit me in that section of the conversation was being asleep and being sedated are not the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And some of the things that happen to you while you're sedated overlap with some of the things that happen to you while you're asleep, but not enough of them to make you feel like, okay, if I am hammering the melatonin or the alcohol or the Unisom or the Benadryl or the whatever or the THC every night to get to sleep, that's not the same thing as falling asleep naturally, and you're not getting the same health benefits. So don't think that there is something that, you shake out of a bottle
Yeah.
that's going to give you the same thing. And that's why he said, especially for chronic insomnia, the number one fix for that is going to be cognitive behavioral therapy, not something that comes out of a pill bottle.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I feel like reflecting on your day, journaling, planning for the next day, that's a little bit of, some cognitive behavioral therapy there for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not the official, but you are, still thinking through things, and you're using your brain to kind of, it's obviously not exactly the same, but it's still the same type of method where you are thinking through some things and you're kind of bringing yourself back into reality, right?
Yes, it's certainly better than nothing, I would
Yeah.
say. And I mean, but the, I mean, based on the impression I got from what he said was that the cause of insomnia is anxiety, either
Yeah.
anxiety in your mind or anxiety in your body.
Mhm.
And the way to work through anxiety is through CBT.
Yeah.
And if there are other things, non-chemical solutions,
Yeah,
you
like
can like routines or
stretching.
meditation, stretching, working out, going for a walk right before bed.
Yeah.
If there are things you can do to at least on some level make peace with your anxiety before you lay in the bed, then you should definitely do those things.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for somebody with chronic insomnia where you are just not getting the rest that you need, then I think talking to somebody and working through those root causes of that anxiety
Yeah,
are
that's
going to be the way to
most
deal with
likely at a level that is not gonna be impacted by, breathing techniques.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to say about oh, if you find yourself in bed and you can't get back to sleep or you can't get to sleep, he says 30 minutes is pretty much the window where if you're just laying there for 30 minutes trying to go back to sleep and you can't go back to sleep, there's a couple things. You should probably get out of bed because you don't want to associate being in bed with not being able to sleep. So get up, do something else. The other course of action is, and part of this is, what are you capable of talking yourself into? If you can talk yourself into, okay, whether I go to sleep or not, no big deal. I am going to lay here and I'm going to relax and be as restful as I possibly can. And that's going to be good enough. I'll get my job done tomorrow. I'll be able to safely drive to work and back, and I will be able to perform adequately tomorrow, even if I just lay here and rest and relax as much as I can.
Yeah.
If you can believe that, number one, you will still get some benefit from laying there and resting, even if you're not asleep. And number two, you're also more likely to just fall asleep. So it's either get up and do something that gets you out of the environment where you feel the high pressure to sleep, whether that's go watch TV, go sit at your desk, whatever it is, just get up and get out of the bed and then go back to the bed when you're tired, or make peace with the fact that you can be in bed not sleeping and still be okay with yourself. The other thing he said is take all the clocks out of your bedroom. If you suffer from insomnia to the point where you wake up and you can't get back to sleep.
And it makes you anxious because you're
Correct.
you're watching the clock.
Yeah. Move along.
Was it Steven or the doctor who said that they heard of a technique or a rule where if you are going to use your phone in your bedroom,
Yeah.
you have to stand?
Yes. I think it was the doctor.
Yeah. So you can't, as soon as you sit down on your bed with your phone, you're done. So you can use your phone in your room, but you can only do it while you're standing.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
That is pretty good. Yeah. The idea of you can have your phone in your room, you can use your phone in your bedroom, but if you're going to do it standing up.
And
and that's I definitely do lean toward the side of doing too many things in my bed, where, and it used to drive one of my ex-girlfriends crazy, because if it was time to watch a movie, if it was time to spend time with each other, and part of it was in my smaller RV, I didn't really have a lot of seating areas. I had, like, the only TV was in the bedroom, and that was it. And yeah, that didn't, did I even have a TV in that bedroom? I don't remember. Yeah, I did. I had a TV up on the wall on an arm. And, yeah, that was it. If we were going to watch a movie in my place, it was laying in the bed, and she hated that. She was like, no, and she was right. I mean, hey, if you're listening, you were right. The bed is for sex and the bed is for sleep. And that should be the only thing that the bed is for.
Yep.
If you're watching a movie, go sit on the couch. Because, not to brag, my new RV has a couch, and it's a nice one too. But yeah, that is, there's science behind that idea that you don't lay in the bed to have a conversation. You don't lay in the bed to watch TV. The laying in the bed is for sleeping and for sex.
Yeah. I mean, I go to a desk to do my work. I don't do it in the bed or in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like I know people have desks in their bedroom. I could never do that. It's just our brains are so associative with location and the experiences that we have. So
yeah, and I now have a TV in my living room, and I have a TV in my bedroom, and I find that I really didn't need the second TV for the living room. I could have just moved the bedroom, because I never use the bedroom TV. It's any media consumption. It's usually a podcast or something that I don't have to, it might be something on YouTube, but I don't care about what the video is. I'm just listening to it.
Yep.
And so I listen to that on my phone, and the bedroom TV is not seeing much use at all. And I actually have, I've got the TV in the living room on a stand. So it's in that sort of cubby where you would put a TV. I mean, it's your old camper, you know where it is. But it's on a stand where I can easily unplug it. And then I also have some area on the kitchen counter where I can set the TV, and then it's like deadline right across from the couch.
Okay. So
I can move it around and very easily watch TV from the couch, which is nice, because I believe him 100%. So let me hit a couple more things. Number one, your blue light mode on your phone or your tablet is actually useful in so much as it depends on what you're doing on your phone or on your tablet. So if you turn on nighttime mode where it minimizes the blue light, but you're still scrolling through social media, either getting excited or angry at what you're seeing, it's still not good. And it's going to negatively affect your sleep. If you are, kind of consuming relaxing media on your phone or on your tablet and you're in nighttime mode with the blue light turned off, then there is some benefit to that.
Yep.
The other thing he said was no screen 60 minutes before bed, which I can't. I don't know that I can do that.
Well, it's a hard ask for everybody.
Yeah. And also he said turn down the lights in your place as it gets close to dark, which that's already a habit of mine anyway. I don't keep bright overhead lights on when it's not absolutely necessary. So basically, if I'm cooking or I'm doing paperwork, then I've got bright lights on. If it's anything else, then the lights are not on.
Yeah.
Let's see. He does talk about the link between we talk about trying to lose weight on poor sleep. It's going to just eat your muscle instead of your fat. So that is very tough. And he said there are fewer, I'm trying to remember how he said it, but he basically said there are fewer correlations in medical science as solid as the fact that if you sleep poorly, you are going to be overweight.
Yeah.
That is just,
I mean, I will see it on a day-to-day basis. If I
me
don't
too.
sleep well,
Yeah.
the next day I haven't dropped any weight. Like I'm either the same or more. And with regardless of what I ate the day before.
Yeah, he said that if you wake up after a bad night of sleep, your body is usually just going to instruct you to eat an additional 300 to 400 calories.
Yeah. So I think for when that's happening, I think that is, in all fairness, water weight. Your body is holding on to extra fluid in terms of protecting yourself because it realizes, hey, I'm not getting what I need.
What you see on the scale.
Correct.
But the motivation to eat another 300 or 400 calories the next day.
That will add up.
Yeah, that's all hormone based, I think, with the the ghrelin and the and leptin. Yeah. And if you're trying to maintain or lose, an extra 300 or 400 calories a day is going to make either of those. I mean, that's
significant.
I go for these 5.5 mile walks and they're good for like 700 calories. It's ridiculous how little walking around actually, burns. It's so unfair because one fancy donut is going to blow that away, or one crumble cookie is going to blow that away.
So
it's completely unfair. I did want to say, I've got 10 action steps and I want to read through these. So if you're willing to take on having better sleep like I am, see how many of these you're already doing or are willing to do. Okay. Number 1, keep a fixed bedtime and a fixed wake time. I can do that. I'm not doing it right now, but I can do that, and I should do that, and I will do that. How about you?
It's except for weekends. Can't do it.
Can't or won't?
Won't. I just
your schedule changes quite a bit on the weekend?
Enough to where it is usually 3 hours past when I normally go to sleep.
You want me to give you a tip on that? Learn to hate live music. That has really worked wonders for me.
I'll work on that.
Not having a if you hate drinking alcohol and you hate live music, it's a lot easier to keep that weekend schedule exactly the same as the weekdays.
For sure.
Dim your lights 1 hour before bed. We talked about that. Keep your bedroom cool. He said 65 to 68 is the sweet spot. Cut caffeine after noon. Ugh.
Just cut caffeine altogether, like I did.
Have you?
I have. I mean,
I will.
I've been. So I haven't been like zero caffeine, but I've probably over the last month, I've had maybe 3 or 4 cups of regular coffee and maybe 1 or 2 caffeinated sodas.
Wow.
Yeah. And it has helped my sleep.
Interesting.
Yeah. I cut it back. So I stopped at 2 and then I stopped having caffeine at noon and then I stopped altogether and I feel better. I mean, I don't avoid it. I don't. So if I'm at girlfriend's, she makes great coffee. We'll have a cup or whatever together.
That's a fancy machine.
Yeah, it's delicious. And so I'll do that once in a while.
Yeah.
Not even once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks now. But it's more than a month. The headaches, they're there for the first week because you're withdrawing, but after that,
See, I've stopped caffeine
Yeah.
and I've not had the headaches. I wonder if that's related to.
Well, you're probably very quick I think you're a quick metabolite
Yeah, I
of
wonder. I was
caffeine
gonna
too.
say, yeah, I wonder if it's the same thing
They
that lets me seemingly drink it all day without feeling
Yeah,
much of an
maybe.
impact. Also lets me get off of it without the headaches.
Yeah.
I've never had the caffeine headache that I can remember from giving it up. And
Yeah.
I've done like some juice cleanses and stuff where I haven't had coffee and I've not had the headaches.
Mm.
Avoid alcohol within 3 hours of bed. That's easy for me. I use bed only for sleep and sex, which I'm pretty much there now.
Yeah.
Um, get up after 30 minutes awake, meaning don't lay in bed. In 30 minutes even, I can't, because I'm a lion and I wake up and I am hungry and I am energized when I wake up. So I want to get out of bed. I want to make my coffee. I want to have a snack and I want to get out the door on my walk. Like I'm not a big snoozer. Are you a snoozer?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Nope.
I might snooze once.
Yeah.
But never. And on that test, it basically categorizes 0 to 1 snoozes versus many snoozes. Those are like the two choices you have.
I actually don't wake up with an alarm clock. I mean, I
Oh, really?
before I set one as an emergency.
I usually wake up before mine too.
And so I like to wake up on my own. It's a lot less disruptive. It's a lot less anxiety when you don't hear even like these gentle alarms and stuff sometimes just really like jerk me out of bed. So I try to plan my days so that I don't need to be, I've got that emergency cutoff just in case I had a horrible night's sleep and I end up sleeping late. But usually I wake up before my alarm.
One of the things I missed about my old the original or fairly old Fitbits were that they had a thing where you could program it to say, okay, I need to be awake at 6 a.m.
Yep.
And then it would basically find when you were in light sleep based on your body movement before 6 a.m.
Mhm.
It wouldn't let you get back into deeper REM. It'd say, oh, okay, you're 35 minutes away from the time you want to wake up and you're in light sleep right now. So I'm going to wake you up right now.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was nice.
Yeah.
I might need to see if, we were talking before we recorded. I've got the Apple Watch 2 Ultra now, and it is a little based on the actual body of the watch and the metallic, titanium band that I like. It's a little bulkier than when I had my Apple Watch 6, so it's a little harder to sleep with. But if I could find an app for that where it would basically say, okay, wear it all night. We're going to monitor your sleep. And when we can tell that you're in light sleep before your alarm, we'll wake you up then.
Yeah,
I might
nice.
look at switching back to that.
Yeah.
We'll see. He says, don't rely on weekends for catching up. The catching up on sleep is a myth. You can get a little bit of it back by sleeping extra. Like if you don't sleep or only sleep for a couple hours, the very next day, if you sleep a little longer, you'll get some of that back.
Yeah.
But there's no screwing yourself out of sleep all week and then making up for it on the weekend. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Meditate 10 minutes nightly. Nighttime meditation is tough for me. I can meditate for 10 minutes a day, but I usually have to do it in the morning.
Yep.
I'll try it though. I'm not going to just dismiss it out of hand. I mean, I'll even try the cutting caffeine afternoon.
Yeah.
A little.
Curious.
But
that works.
That's
for
going to
you.
be tough.
Yeah.
And then track how, if you do make some of these improvements and you do get better consistent sleep, try to notice through journaling whether the positive benefits are there for you and give it a week before you decide that this is horseshit. I'm not going to keep doing this. So
Good.
Those are the pieces of advice. All right, Dan, let's stop there and I will talk to you next time.
Sounds good.
Okay, that wraps up this episode of the Mindfully Masculine podcast. We hope our conversation about sleep gave you a few practical ways to rest better, recover faster, and show up as your best self. If you know someone who might benefit from or enjoy this episode, please share it with them. It's one of the best ways to support the show. Thank you for listening to the entire episode, and we'll talk to you next time.